What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour on 990 WBOB, the number one radio program for all things Bryant Athletics. I'm Brian Costa reporting remotely. We've got a great episode in store for you all tonight. Coming up after our first break, we're going to be joined alongside by women's volleyball middle blocker Brookelyn Talmadge as her team prepares for the 2025 America East Championship Tournament in Baltimore. And then at 8:30, head football coach Chris Merritt will recap last Saturday's game against UNH and preview the season finale at Stony Brook. Then in our final segment of the night, Abdel Talabi from the Bryant men's soccer team will join us to give us all the latest on the team as they head into the NCAA tournament this Sunday. So it's going to be a great episode. We're glad to have you all joined along with us this evening. First of all, we want to welcome you guys into the program. Glad to have you joining us. We'll start off first things first with the Bryant men's soccer team. Obviously, we'll talk to Abdel a little bit later in the program, but they just got the news from the NCAA. They are going to have the 11 seed in the NCAA tournament. They will play the winner of Seton Hall in Siena this Sunday at 6 p.m. at Burns Stadium. So really excited to see what they do this weekend. It's their second time ever making an NCAA tournament, and it's their first time that any program in Bryant's history has received an at-large bid. Now, Bryant has obviously had a tremendously historic season this year, being ranked as high as number 2 in the country at some points this year. They were ranked, I believe, towards the number 5 spot as we came down the home stretch of the season. And, it was a great season for them. They had at one point was the nation's longest win streak at 13 games, and now they're going to be going into an NCAA tournament game against some good quality opponents. It's going to be kind of an adjustment for them coming out of the conference slate that they were just in, but it seems like one that they can handle. I mean, they were able to be very successful throughout the course of the regular season. They played a number of competitive, matches against high quality teams, including 2 against the defending national champions in Vermont, who they ultimately fell to in the America East Championship. But those ended up being the only 2 losses that Bryant ended up sustaining this entire season, which frankly is incredible. Because when you look at Bryant, obviously, small school in the Northeast, you don't maybe on the surface expect what, came from them this season. But, Coach Ruben Resendez has recruited, some absolutely incredible players to this team. The name that's going to be at the front of everybody's mind is Jaime Amaro, who comes in here and led the America East, in goals, points, assists, you name it. And he was amazing from the get-go this year. And, it's crazy because when we talked to Jaime just a couple weeks ago, he had said that, this is an interesting position for him because he had never really been a leading scorer on a team. So this was a new role for him. So it's interesting to see how he's adjusted to this role. It's interesting to see how guys like Mamadi Gianna have come in, transferred from UAlbany, and he's excelled since he's been here. You look at Paco Fernandez, who's been excellent as well. And then you look at the returning guys, too. You look at Mark Pitarch, who's come back. You look at Abdel Talabi, who we're going to talk to in just a little bit. And it's been a great meshing of these guys on this team this year. And, everything has been really in their favor for the most part. Obviously, those 2 games against the Catamounts, they wish they could have back. And then the only other 2 draws you have this year were against a Princeton team who is also ranked. And then, against Long Island, who that was your first game of the year, and there were going to be some hiccups there. So I think when you look at this, there is a lot of promise with this Bryant team as you go into the NCAA tournament. A lot of these guys now have experience being in an NCAA tournament, which they didn't 2 years ago. And they're going to be hungry to, get that first NCAA win. Because I think that, you look back to 2023 when you played Yale and you had that, that tough loss in that game. And I think that they're going to be hungry now to come out and prove it that they can, be better than that. And they can actually, get the job done here at home in front of these great home fans and, move on to the next round. Because at the end of the day, that's what Coach Resendez was hoping for here. Because, he even said it on our interview is that, their goal this season was to make the NCAA tournament. And they've done that. Obviously, a conference championship would have been nice. Maybe it could have secured potentially some better seeding along the way. But nonetheless, they ended up getting a bye, which they didn't in 2023, even when they won a conference, even when they won the America East. And now they have the chance to, rest up a little bit, wait for their opponent, and then have the opportunity this Sunday. So I'm really excited for what they got going forward. I think that, it's been a very exciting season there. I think that, Coach Rubin has really reshaped all the expectations for what, soccer can be, just at Bryant, but also just in this region of the Northeast. Because we saw Vermont go on that run last year where, it almost seemed kind of like that Cinderella run where, it didn't really seem possible. And then they were actually able to run the table and win the championship. And now this year they're going into the playoffs, favored as maybe the number 2 team in the country. And I think that when you look at that, it's kind of a reaction of why not us? Why can't Bryant do that too? Because, Coach Rubin has those connections overseas. He's able to get those players into his program, and he's done that over the course of these 3 years. When, maybe you look at a guy like Mark Patarch, and he's been there from the get-go. So it's been really exciting to see what he's been able to accomplish. They're an incredible, group, and I'm really excited to see what they do moving forward. Now, as we move forward with that, obviously, outside of men's soccer, there's some other storylines as well. We'll start off first with men's basketball. They ended up falling to Valpo over the weekend, 68-50. It was really a second half that kind of did the Bulldogs in there. And, it was kind of tough because, they came out and had a 30-22 lead at the half there. And really, Valpo in the second half, it kind of just became, kind of a track meet. And, Valpo put up 46 in that second half. And the struggles for Bryant was just the shooting. And I think that, Coach Christian's going to get that right. They're going to be okay with it. But I think the issue right now is that, they're looking at shot quality and they're able to get, those open looks maybe that they want. But it has been the issue of just getting those shots to fall. And, you look at a guy like Timofey Radovsky, who's been, pretty solid and consistent through his first 4 games of his college career. He's posted double-digit efforts in all of those, with 13 points most recently against Valpo. But, you're going to have to look at some other guys to step up. I mean, when you look at the 3-point shots in this game, they only made 6 of 29 threes, which, for a team that wants to shoot a lot of threes, that's not, anywhere close to where they need to be. Even if they made half of those, they're probably at least competing and maybe even winning this game. But when you're, not getting those quality shots that you want, you're going to end up seeing potentially some ugly scores like this. And, those guys in that locker room, they know that they need to be better. I think that, they're going to be able to adjust as the season goes on, and they're playing some tough teams early on in this schedule. Namely Virginia Tech coming up next this Wednesday, and then UConn on Sunday. So they're going to face some very good competition, and they're going to take their lumps. And I think that that's only going to help them down the stretch. So I think that, we'll have to see how it all kind of comes together moving forward. At the end of the day, you're not hunting for, an at-large ranking. This isn't going to be a top 25, ranked team in the country. The only wins that matter are going to be the ones that happen in January. Like the conference season, that's where you're going to make your money. You're not going to get an at-large bid to an NCAA tournament, anything like that. So if you want to make any noise, it's done in conference season. This is obviously a good feeling out period. You get a chance to, see what you can do, what you can't do. But it's really no bigger than that. That's how I would put it. So as we kind of move forward, that's kind of my thoughts on the team. I think that, it'll be interesting to see maybe guys like Ja'Kai Robinson get some more run. I know that he had been out for a little bit, but he ended up playing 10 minutes in this game. So it seems like they're starting to get him reacclimated to this lineup. And I think a guy like him could really unlock this lineup for Bryant because, when you look at Ja'Kai last year, he was, one of the best things he was just a facilitator of the offense and able to really just move the ball and distribute it well. Last year, whether it was, kicking it out to Raf Pinzone in the corner for an easy 3 or, finding Earl Timberlake down low to, flush it home. So, that's an area where I think Ja'Kai can really thrive for this team. He can create his own shot at times, but he doesn't necessarily need to. He's good at maybe spacing the floor a little bit better and, getting those other guys open shots. And I think that, over these next couple of weeks, I think that it looks like they're going to try to do that a little bit more with him. I think that it's, again, just kind of getting him back in the rhythm. He had missed some time. And at this point, it's just going to be, a matter of conditioning. So I think they'll get him back to where he needs to be. So I'm interested in that. So that's kind of my thoughts on the men's team. On the women's side, they have been off to an incredibly hot start this year. They've started the year 4-0, most recently taking down Rider this past weekend, 81-57. They scored 20 points in 3 of the 4 quarters and held Rider to just 8 points in the 4th. And, the women's team has been it's been a very fun team to watch this year, especially, you look at this past Rider game, you have three players finish in double figures with Mia Mancini, Miranda Nyborg, Mimi Rubino. And, obviously you knew you were going to get quality contributions out of those players. Mia is, in her third year. She had that Rookie of the Year campaign in 23, and then last year had some adjustments along the way. Teams started to scout her a little bit more. There started to be some more film on her. But now she's kind of coming into her own, and she's like, okay, I had, that kind of a sophomore down year, and here's my return to, what I can do and what I can bring to the table. And you saw that this past weekend with 24 points on 9 of 14 shooting and hitting 4 of 7 threes, which is what Mia Mancini can do to you. And then, Miranda Nyborg is affecting the game down low like she can, getting 5 boards, getting 16 points. And then Mimi Rubino, who's going to hit 4 of 8 threes out there. So, when you have her shooting 50% from beyond the arc, things are going to go incredibly well for you. So that's obviously promising from those players. But the exceptional thing about this women's team this year is their depth. And I think that is going to be the thing that really maybe separates them as they get into the conference season later on down the line. When you look at the Marist game earlier, about a week or so ago, Abby Lindsay comes off the bench, UMass Lowell transfer, drops 16 points. And, having that kind of an output from a player off your bench can really help turn the tide for you. Because, the first 3 games of the season, the story was really kind of Bryant was, kind of like, maybe not playing up to, their caliber. They were letting some of these other teams dictate the control of the game a little bit more than they should have. And then, in those, late fourth quarter, either late third quarter or fourth quarter, they would just go on a massive run and just steal the game away from you. And that's kind of been the theme, these past 3 games. But Rider, they actually just took care of business throughout. They were able to really just establish that early. But if you can get that kind of performance from them, really good things can happen for you. And I think that when you look at, down low too, you see Nia Scott getting 9 boards in this game. Actually just saw Mia Mancini had 9 boards too, which is, incredible for her as, a guard getting down low and affecting the game like that. So, they can be a very scary team, I think, come, late February, March, like where it's, it's going to be a team that I think that, can really surprise some people just because of that depth. They can maybe, rest some players some more than they, otherwise would have. If you can, go to the bench and get, quality minutes from a Jada Guerra or an Izzy Adams or, even an Abby Lindsay leading that second unit, this can be a very scary team to watch. So I'm really excited to see what the women's team can do. Obviously, they have a good test coming up this Wednesday against Merrimack, so looking forward to seeing what they'll do there. I know that Merrimack making the switch to the MAC conference, it's going to be interesting to see how they match up there. Obviously, some former NEC rivals, so that'll be another good test. Can't wait to see what they'll do there. I think that Lennon Kokoski, though, has some really good things cooking up in Smithfield right now. So looking forward to that, but we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we're back, we're going to be joined alongside by Brookelyn Talmadge of the Bryant women's volleyball team. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 990 WBOB. All right, welcome back to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour here on 990 WBOB. I'm Brian Costa joining you here today. Tonight's broadcasts are brought to you from Sprout Co-working. For all your co-working needs, large meetings, office for a day, working remotely, or just trying to get away from the distractions at home, Sprout Co-working in Providence, Rhode Island is the place for you, the official co-working partner of 990 WBOB. And now joining us on the Sprout Co-working expert hotline is Bryant women's volleyball middle blocker Brookelyn Talmadge. Brookelyn, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
Doing well, Brookelyn. Well, obviously, had the chance to watch you guys this past Friday claim a share of the America East regular season title against, with a win over NJIT on senior night. Congratulations on that achievement. We'll just start off with your opening thoughts from, getting that achievement, getting the win to close out the regular season. We'll just start with your thoughts.
It was such an amazing win just to see like all the seniors playing together. It was already such an emotional day. So when all of us, like the game itself was so fun and everybody was having such a good time, and watching the seniors just completely ball out was so nice to see. And then when we got the news, it was literally like the cherry on top. Like it was like the best news that you could have heard. And we had like so much fun. And then senior day after that was just such like an amazing event, like the banquet and everything. It kind of just tied everything together. And I think it was probably like the best part of that day for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just the third regular season title Bryant's claimed since moving to the Division One level, and it's the first, obviously, America East regular season title. The last regular season title for Bryant at the D1 level, coming back in 2021 when you guys were still in the NEC. So, just recognizing that and how historic is that. Just how proud are you and this team for being able to set that bar with this championship?
I mean, I feel like we've worked so hard throughout this whole season. And this year, one of our big themes was just legacy. And we had to read this book. It's called Legacy. And it was so good. And we talked about, and obviously it was the 50 years of Bryant volleyball. So I feel like all of those things combined together really put us in, I feel like, such a good spot to make us want to get to that point. And such a great mindset of being like, wow, like, all these teams in the past, especially when we had the banquet for the 50th anniversary, we listened to a lot of the girls that had been here, past players that were in the NCAA tournament that made it to the Elite Eight. So just hearing them and hearing their stories and how hard they worked was really inspiring. And I feel like we definitely carried that onto the court.
Yeah, absolutely. I think something else that really helped motivate you guys this year was obviously like last year you guys ended up missing out on the tournament, and you guys make it for the first time now since 2023. Just talk about the motivation that you guys had coming into this season. After falling short last season, just talk about the motivation that you guys came in with this time around.
I know that definitely, at least for me, after last season, I was super disappointed, especially because I really wanted it for those seniors last year. And I feel like we kind of, at least me, I carried that loss with me for a really long time. And like, I'll never forget, seeing all of them cry after that game. So coming into this year, especially even in the spring, I feel like that mindset started of like, I never want to feel like that again. And I feel like everybody else was on the same level of like, we came into this year, like maybe we didn't start off super hot, but like we came into the gym like wanting to win immediately. And as soon as we got to conference, like it was, hey, we're all in this together. Like what happens, happens. And I think we didn't put as much pressure on ourselves this year as we did last year. So everything's definitely flowing naturally, which is what I think has been helping us a lot this year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a fun group to watch, obviously, with your class, getting into your junior year. And then you bring in, this freshman class, which it's kind of similar, in a sense to the class that you guys had just 2 years ago, where you have, some really, high contributing freshmen early on with Caitlin Curran and Ruth Ocelli. Just talk about how, they've acclimated to this program and how you guys have been able to, work them in.
I mean, they're doing such a good job. They're actually like the same person. It's so funny, but they have done such an amazing job and they're so calm and collected. Like, I feel like way more than I ever was my freshman year, especially. Like, you would never be able to tell. And I feel like they definitely kind of like have a good head on their shoulders. And when they came in, like, they were really ready to work immediately. And they've done such a good job. Like Caitlin, like playing all around as a freshman is like ridiculous. And Ruth gets 20 kills like every other match. So it is so impressive to watch them grow and flourish, and for them to be so calm about everything, like, is so impressive to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you shouldn't knock yourself. You had an incredible rookie year yourself as an, all conference rookie selection in 2023, and you're enjoying another incredible season this year as well. Just, for yourself over the course of these past 2 years, just what do you think has been, the area of your game that, maybe you've improved on the most?
I think honestly, I feel like it might be hitting. Like, I feel like being a middle, like in transition, like working hard in transition. I have my first couple years. I mean, my freshman year, I was a right side, so it was a little bit different. But transitioning out and being more available, I feel like is something that I've definitely gotten a lot better at, especially having a setter in the front row. You kind of have to be available more often. And I feel like for the last couple of years, I'd kind of been like afraid to like get the ball a little bit more, but now I'm more comfortable like being in that role of like set me, set me, set me. So it's definitely been more of an improvement of just me being more comfortable with everything. And like Madison and I, like our connection has grown so much. So like that definitely makes things a lot easier. And I think overall it's just like gaining more confidence like as I've gone on. Any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. It makes total sense. You guys are now gearing up for the America East tournament this weekend down in Baltimore. Obviously, you guys were down there 2 years ago and got the opportunity to have that playoff experience. Just talk about what you were able to take away from that experience 2 years ago, and how that's how you hope to carry that into this year.
I mean, the barely even remember, but I feel like that game, I remember it not being definitely our best of the year, and I remember it not even being my best. So coming into this next game, I really want to just go out there and just ball out. Like, no matter the result, obviously I want to win, but it's like going out there and balling out and doing the best that I can do and the best that for the team at that day. I think that's my biggest goal, especially after the last year and then the year before that. So I really want to come into this tournament and really make a statement instead of just
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah, absolutely. Obviously, there are some differences this year with you guys. Although you guys are going back down to the same place you guys were 2 years ago, you guys are actually now the number 2 seed. So you guys are, not you guys won't be playing the host team first round. You guys are actually set to play UAlbany in this one. First things first, obviously, you guys have, I know, played in a ton of different tournaments this year and have that experience. Just how different is it, playing maybe in a neutral site game like this in a playoff setting versus maybe playing like a traditional away match where you're playing the actual home team? Just talk about, the differences that might kind of go into that.
I think it'll definitely be an advantage for us, at least. Obviously, UMBC's gym is a lot different than our gym, but I think playing at a neutral site, I feel like we both, UAlbany and we both play really well at home, and I think that's always such a huge advantage. So I think coming into this next game, like having a neutral site, I'm excited to see kind of how it goes, because the last matches, like, you can see our strengths being at home, but I think being in a neutral site, especially the site that we both have played in this year, I think it's going to be a really fun match for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when you look at UAlbany in general, if obviously you play them twice in the regular season, just what are some keys to success that you guys are going to try to execute in this game?
They're one of those scrappy teams that does not let the ball drop. And I feel like, one, not getting too tired when they are, having, we have these super long rallies and things like that, like staying composed and staying together when they're doing all these amazing things and coming back and resetting. And I think that's going to be probably one of the biggest important things, and definitely limiting their runs. They go on runs. They have really good servers on their team. Like, their defense is really good. So just making sure that even if we're not scoring, like, we're still coming together and we're still definitely trying our best to help each other out with scoring and things like that, and stopping those runs really quick will definitely help us.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you guys are getting ready to take off there in the coming days. Just take us through what these next couple hours and next couple days are going to look like for you and the group.
I mean, it's definitely, we're practicing Monday, Tuesday for sure. We just had practice today actually, and practice today was really good. So I think we're not doing anything absolutely crazy in practice. I think definitely saving our bodies for the weekend will probably be our best plan as of right now. And we're still lifting and we're still taking our time to recover and prioritizing that as well, which is definitely one of our biggest goals for longevity this weekend.
Absolutely. Bryant will take on UAlbany in the America East semifinals this weekend. Brooklyn, thank you so much for taking the time. Have a great night.
Of course, you too. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Take care, Brooklyn. All right.
Bye.
All right. Take care, Brooklyn. All right. That was Brookelyn Talmadge of the Bryant women's volleyball team joining us here on the program. Glad to have Brooklyn on. We had a chance to travel with them back in 2023 and see them in that tournament down in Baltimore. Like she said, Baltimore is a very tough gym to play in. It's more built for basketball than volleyball. I think when you look at the Chase, it's one of those traditional volleyball gyms with the low ceiling, and you might get some of those weird bounces off the, crossbars and off the beams on the top of it. So, definitely more of an open kind of concept gym and, more of a newer facility. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play in that area. So, you look at Brooklyn as well, who was an all conference selection in 2023. And, she's grown so much as a player since then, as, she had mentioned. So can't wait to see what she'll do there. But we're going to head off to a quick break. When we're back, we're going to be joined alongside by head football coach Chris Merritt. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 990 WBOB. All right. Welcome back to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour here on 990 WBOB. Brian Costa joining you here tonight. We're joined alongside by our next guest of the evening. They're joining you on the Sprout Co-working Expert Hotline. It is head football coach Chris Merritt. Coach Merritt, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Brian. How about you, bud?
Doing well, Coach. Well, we'll just start off tonight first with your opening thoughts from New Hampshire.
Yeah, we played a really good football team that's hitting their stride and peaking at the right time that they need to peak. And unfortunately, we allowed ourselves to do some things that will get you in trouble against a team like that. We every week we focus on explosive plays, missed tackles, and turnovers, and we feel and know through the analytics throughout college football that if you win those three categories, that you have a really good chance to win the ball game. And so we bring those stats up on the board every week with our guys. And sure enough, we didn't win the turnover battle. We lost the explosive battle and the missed tackle battle. And that's you throw 7 drops in on offense, and we struggled. And you just can't do that against a team like New Hampshire at this point in their season where they're playing really well. And it was disappointing. Kids were down on, watching film today, but can't hang our heads. We got to get up and play the next one. It's this Saturday against a very beatable Stony Brook team.
Absolutely. So as you look ahead to that game, we'll take a look at that in just a second. But, when you went into this game, obviously you guys were down 2 quarterbacks. You guys had Ridge Dochikal going in this one. Obviously, he closed out the game for you guys against UAlbany last weekend. We talked about him, kind of coming off the bench cold and having to adjust to that. Just talk about what it was like this week, getting him up to speed and prepared for this one.
Sure. Well, I mean, again, we had to tailor our game plan back again to doing some things we had done previously with Ridge's strength being he's a drop back quarterback, and where Jaden was more of a running quarterback. So we had tailored our offense to kind of highlight his strengths. But Ridge probably played he played the best he's played all year in practice and in games, and did a very good job protecting the football. I can't, we lost a turnover battle, and the interception that he had was on a Hail Mary at the end of the first half. So he did a great job protecting the football and delivering obviously very catchable balls for us to drop 7. So, we hope that he gets. Now that he's had a few snaps, few games under his belt, that he can peak out on Saturday against Stony Brook.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, in this one as well, you guys had, Elijah Elliott. He had 2 rushing touchdowns in this one. Obviously, he's going to do his thing. He's going to, has been incredible all season long. Was there any more emphasis on this one on trying to be more run heavy than other weeks based on the quarterback situation, or was it kind of the same kind of game plan regardless?
Well, it's put a little bit. Elijah's job just got a little bit tougher because the defense hadn't had to worry about what they had to worry about with Jaden and him pulling the football. And so when the defense knows who's going to get the football when we run it, well, that just makes his job significantly tougher. And unfortunately, we didn't break enough tackles in the second level when we got into the second level, and those plays that we were hoping were going to be 15, 20 plus yard runs were 8-yard runs. And but Elijah's been a star for us all year, has been the workhorse for us. We were just joking about it today. He can't believe he's at that point right now where he just had his last Monday practice, and it all went so quick, Coach, is what he said. And I said, yep. And I said, just wait till you get older,
Yeah.
So he's been our guy, and he'll be our guy Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously he's, had a tremendous season since he's come over here from Montana State. He's now tied with Rico McRae, Reese McKendy, and Ryan Clark for the 9th most rushing 10 touchdowns in a single season in program history. Just, talk about just, him, really coming here and performing as advertised.
Well, he is somebody that we found in the portal. He got a really strong recommendation from the coach, and that's important to me. If the previous coaching staff where you played at doesn't strongly recommend, well, my question is why? A lot of guys that I truly love that played for us here, that took the opportunity to move on. to other places either after their graduate degree or not. And when those coaches called, if they were great for us, I gave them the thumbs up and the stamp of approval. And when I got the evaluation from his coaches at not just his head coach, but man, the strength coach there is one who really sold me on him. And he came in and was as advertised, and he struck his teammates as well. They voted him captain. So I think any time that you're around a group of players for less than 6 months and they think highly enough of you to vote you as a captain of their football team, I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been obviously an anchor for that backfield and just for this team in general. So it's incredible to see what he's been able to do. Turning now to the defense, obviously, you guys had Michael Lotti, doing his thing, posting a pair of TFLs, and then you have Dedrick Walker, who got the pick, and then 3 tackles in this one. Just talk about some of the highs that you saw on the defensive side this weekend.
Yeah, obviously Michael Lotti, he is exactly as advertised. We are a different defense when he's in there, but I also know Michael is he's also a perfectionist, and I know he's probably more disappointed in the tackles that he missed in the backfield. He must have gotten back there 5-6 times and came away with 2 TFLs, and he is a difference maker inside for us, and he really poses a lot of problems for opposing offensive lines. And to be honest with you, I think maybe I've said this to you before. I've told a lot of people this, and that's, I think that his stat that goes by unnoticed is the numbers of times that he's got holding calls against him. That doesn't come across on a stat sheet, but they're as good as any TFL when it's a 10-yard penalty.
Yeah. Absolutely. I have to agree with that. Obviously this is, you heading into the season finale now against Stony Brook. You talked about them being a beatable team. Just talk about some of the keys to, that game for you guys.
First off, they are a very good football team. I don't want to make it look like they're
sure.
flubs.
Yeah.
They're, no, yeah. I know that, physically, they're walking in this game at 5-6. Physically, I think we're very similar. This is a game that went into overtime last year that we lost in overtime. So I think that we're in the same ballpark. I think that it's probably closer to the Albany matchup than what the Monmouth and New Hampshire matchups were. So,
sure. Yeah.
But they are very disruptive on defense. They're going to give us an odd front, and they're going to move and stunt, and they're going to play a lot of man coverage. So to be honest with you, we're going to have to connect with deep balls. We're going to have to win the one-on-ones in order for us to put points on the board this year. And offensively, they're going to hang their hat on their tailback Dempster. He's a guy that's got about 900 yards rushing this year. He's a big, strong, physical back. He does not mince. He goes north and south, and it's going to put our run defense to the test. And been very happy with our run defense this year on our standing in the CAA. I want to say we're second or third in total rushing defense. So something's got to give Saturday there. We're either going to stop it or we're not. We'll have to play the game to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously with this being the season finale and everything like that, you'd kind of, laid out the scenarios with you and them going into this one. Just, talk about what goes into this one, rallying the troops and getting them ready for one last go this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. We are banged up. Not that we're any different than any other college team right now, but we are banged up. We've had, I think, 5 season-ending injuries in the last 3 weeks to boot, and we got to get to this game, and then I just met with the leadership council here in my office about an hour ago, and we just talked about that. This is it. This is a lot of people's swan song. You got to pour everything you'll remember this game the rest of your life. I'm not going to tell you what year it was, but I remember my last college game back in the early 90s. Okay. And I still remember it vividly today. They'll remember this the rest of their life, and they're going to remember the effort they put into it. So, we need to finish here. We need to go out on top, and we need to get everybody on board that, we started off the season promising. We've had some setbacks. But that's not going to stop us from going out the right way.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we wish you guys the best of luck against Stony Brook this weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, bud. We'll talk soon, man.
Absolutely. Take care, Coach. All right. Well, that was head football coach Chris Merritt joining us here on the program. It's going to be interesting as they go into this last one against Stony Brook. Like he said, they're banged up, and you kind of do wonder. I mean, we talked about this last week about just, maybe kind of the effort that guys give when, maybe a season isn't going their way. Like this one is where, as Coach Merritt said, they've had, a number of season-ending injuries just in the past 3 weeks, which, obviously don't bode well for them. And you've lost 2 quarterbacks and, it seems like things might not be going your way. But, at the end of the day, it is about the effort you give in that last game. And that is something that those guys are going to want to hang their hat on at the end of the day, whether it results in a win or a loss. This is the last time that maybe some of them will put on the pads and, actually go out there. It's the tough thing about football is like, unlike maybe basketball or like a baseball where you can maybe go to find a pickup league or things like that. It's not as readily available. Sure, there might be an over 30 league somewhere that people can do and you can try to get in somewhere, but especially when you're playing at this level, I think that, anything above, high school for sometimes can just be considered bonus. And, when you have these guys who are in that top, 1% of athletes getting the chance to do this and, maybe not knowing what the future is going to hold on the pro side, they're going to give it their all this weekend. And I can, almost guarantee that, whether that's going to result in a win, I can't tell you that either. I'm not sure. I think that, Stony Brook, we'll have to see how it fares. It was an overtime game a year ago here in Smithfield. And, obviously Stony Brook ended up coming away with the win in that one. But, they're going to definitely go out there and try to, try to affect the game in all ways and try to, get the job done. I'm excited to see how they'll do in this one. I'm, hopeful that they can pull out the win and end the season on a high note. So, that's kind of the thoughts there. Excited to see what they'll do moving forward. But we're going to head off to our final break of the night. When we're back, we're going to be joined alongside by Abdel Talabi from the Bryant men's soccer team. We're going to break down the upcoming NCAA tournament game that they have going this Sunday against the winner of Seton Hall and Siena. We'll be back in just a couple seconds. You're listening to 990 WBOB. Welcome back to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour on 990 WBOB. Brian Costa here for the home stretch and our final segment of the night. Before we get into our last guest, we just want to tell you to join the WBOB team this winter, watching your Bryant Bulldogs at the Chase Athletic Center. Single game tickets for men's and women's basketball are now available at BryantTickets.com. For more on the Bulldogs, listen right here to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour. Now for our final guest of the evening, joining us on the Sprout Co-working Expert Hotline is Abdel Talabi from the Bryant men's soccer team. Abdel, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing very good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, congratulations on securing a bye in the NCAA tournament and getting to this point in the season. We'll just start first off with your opening thoughts today from the selection show, everything like that, and go from there.
Yeah. So today was a special day. Being in the NCAA tournament is something special. So it was just cool to have the whole experience of the selection show and everybody being together. And I think everybody's really motivated. We had a difficult result yesterday, but we're just happy to be in the NCAA tournament and we're ready to make some noise.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, that was something Coach Rubin had said to us, just last week was, obviously you guys had maybe aspirations for, conference title, things like that. But at the end of the day, he said that the, end goal and what you guys wanted to do was get into the NCAA tournament. You guys have done that. And, frankly, it's nothing. It's not really something that's all that new for you. Obviously, you guys made it 2 years ago, and it's incredible the fact that you guys are back here now. Just talk about what these past 3 years have been like for you in this program, getting the chance now to go to your second NCAA tournament.
Yeah, so it's been amazing to be a part of. Being part of a winning culture is something that should never be taken for granted. And our appearance in the NCAA tournament we were really happy to be there in 2023. But I think we kind of let it slip. Like we had a really good team. We thought we could go really far, but we just didn't take care of business in the first match, and it really hurt, honestly. That game really hurt us. And I think that especially for me and other guys who were on that team, like Santi and Mark, like we remember that feeling of being at the big tournament and then we didn't perform our best. So we're ready to learn from our mistakes, and we really want to go far in this tournament. But we know that it's going to be one game at a time, and every team is very good. So anybody can beat anybody, but I think we're ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, it's having that experience now, like you said, just How does that mentally kind of prepare you guys this time around, having the experience of maybe not having the kind of performance you wanted to 2 years ago to, go in and have this kind of a mindset? How does that really, prepare you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the big games, there's a lot of nerves and stuff like that, but we've been there before. We've seen the big dance before. We've been around. We played in a lot of big games this year already. So all of that stuff just prepares us for the bigger games to come. So we've experienced against difficult opponents and big crowds, atmospheres, stuff like that. So it allows us to just be more focused when the time comes, so we can do our best.
Absolutely. Obviously, something consistent at these last 3 years of excellence on the field has been, Coach Rubin's, time since he's gotten here at Smithfield. He's gotten you guys to the conference championship game these past 3 years. Just talk about what his impact has been, just for you and just this program in general.
Yeah, so ever since he stepped foot on campus, there's been a big impact, a big change to our program. Just learning from him how to be a winner, how to be a good leader, and on the field it all translates as well. But I think the biggest thing is that we realize that it takes everybody, and everybody makes such a big role, every coach on the staff, every player on the team, and we really work so hard. So when the game time comes, we're so prepared that we trust in our work. So I think all that stuff is things that they brought to the program, and I'm happy to have been a part of it, and I'm hoping to go out on a good run.
Yeah, absolutely. When I talked to, Coach Rubin last week, he talked about you and, has talked about how your guys' relationship has grown. He said that, maybe that first spring, he thought you might have thought that he was being hard on you and maybe pressing you and doing different things like that. But he was happy to see where you've come and grown as a player. And, obviously you've had, some different, challenges and things throughout your career, whether it's been, changing positions from being an all conference center back in 2023 to, moving to forward or right back and moving all over the field. Just talk about what that's been like for you, having to maybe like man different roles and kind of be a team player for this group.
Yeah. I mean, me and Ruben's relationship has grown a lot, especially as I've gotten older. But he's always somebody that's been hard on me, but he's been hard on me in a good way, just always trying to push me to be better and better. Because I think that's a sign when somebody pushes you, they know you have it in you. So I think there's a lot of that. And yeah, I found success a little bit at the center back role in 2023. And just going forward, the team asked me to do different things, and it was kind of just what was necessary. So at the end of the day, it's a team sport, and you just want to do whatever you can to help your team win. So it's just a blessing to be on the field. So whatever it takes, that's what I'm gonna do. And this year I've been at center back and right back, and honestly, it's helped me become a better player, being able to do different things. So just learning, taking it day by day, but it's all about helping the team win and trying to go as far as we can. And all these things have led us to a good spot. So.
Absolutely. Obviously, this year you guys have brought in a bunch of new faces as well, whether it be Jaime Amaro, you look at Mamadi Gianna, and what those guys have been able to do. Just talk about what it's been like getting all those guys on the same page and, having the opportunity now to get to this point.
Yeah, so it's interesting because we have a lot of players from different places and coming from different backgrounds. And the one thing that's true is we have so much talent, so much quality. So getting guys to gel, getting guys to understand what each other's tendencies are, what they're gonna do, has been very important for us. And honestly, it's just a blessing to be able to play with so many good players. It makes it so much fun. It makes my life easier. But we've had our roadblocks along the way, but we've come together, and we all understand each other. And at the end of the day, we all want one thing, and that's to win. So that's the biggest thing that lets us come together, is just we all want to win, and we all want to do what it takes.
Absolutely. You guys are now waiting to see who you guys will play. It's going to either be the winner of Seton Hall and Siena. Just take us through what it's going to be like these next couple of days as you find out your next opponent.
Yeah, so right now the biggest thing is recovery, because we had a really tough match yesterday. But the biggest thing is going to be recovery, and then we're going to focus on ourselves for a little bit. How can we improve? What can we learn from our last games? And then we're gonna see which team wins that matchup. But no matter what, it's the NCAA tournament. Every team is going to be good, so you got to be prepared to face the best of the best. And we're just going to work to get ourselves in the best spot, so when the time comes, we can perform and get the win.
Yeah. Is there any like watching film of both teams during this time, or do you guys kind of just wait for that game to finish and then focus on that one opponent?
I'll leave that to the coaches. I mean,
Yeah.
for now, it's going to be a lot of just looking back on us and how can we improve the things we did wrong in the last game, some of the things that we did well. This week, we're definitely going to focus on ourselves a lot, and then probably towards the weekend and after that game, we'll look at who our opponent is and how can we hurt them and what their strengths might be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously, it's going to be an exciting game this Sunday. We can't wait to see what you guys do there. Obviously, you guys had a record-setting crowd just a couple weeks ago, and it was incredible to see them all come out to Burn Stadium. Just, for this upcoming weekend, just what would your message to the fans be?
The message to the fans is we appreciate all the support you guys bring us. When we get more fans at the game, it really makes it a special atmosphere, and it's so fun to play in front of all you guys. And I think a lot of people enjoy watching us play too. So hopefully, if a lot of people can come, we can have a special night and all celebrate a victory together.
Absolutely. Well, Abdel, we really appreciate you taking the time. We wish you the best of luck this Sunday, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Take care, Abdel. All right. Well, that was Abdel Talabi of the Bryant men's soccer team joining us tonight. Glad to have Abdel joining us here on the program. Obviously, it's going to be exciting to see what men's soccer does this Sunday. Obviously, they're going to be very hungry in this one. So excited to see what will go down there. Obviously, with Coach Rubin, leading this group to their second NCAA tournament in 3 years, it's kind of redefined what soccer has, become, at least, at Bryant University, but just in the Northeast in general. It's been incredible to see. And when you look at Bryant, obviously, maybe there's not those traditional powerhouses of, when you say maybe look in football and you look at the SEC, the Big 12, those kind of schools. And, a team like Bryant can go on a run. Same thing like Vermont last year. So it's incredible to see what can happen. Can't wait to see what they'll do this upcoming, weekend. So looking forward to that. But we're kind of at the end of our program here. Before we do sign off, we just want to say if you want to listen to the recordings of this show, you can do so on Down to the Wire platforms or at 990wbob.com. So thank you again for all tuning in tonight. I'm your host, Brian Costa, and we'll see you next Monday. Take care and peace out.